Thanks for joining me on episode 1020 of the Inspired Stewardship Podcast.
Orly Waba, I challenge you to invest in yourself, invest in others, develop your influence, and impact the world by using your time, your talent, and your treasures to live out your calling. Focus on kindness is a key. And one way to be inspired to do that is to listen to this, the Inspired Stewardship Podcast, with my friend, Scott Mader.
The truth is, this is the most empowering way to change your life when it comes to your money. When you recognize that you've screwed up with money, the question I have for you is, what are you going to do different? If you're coming to the end of this year and you realize that you've had struggles with money, or if you're beginning the new year and you realize you've had struggles with money, or no matter where you are, welcome and thank you for joining us on the Inspired Stewardship Podcast. If you truly desire to become the person who God wants you to be, then you must learn to use your time, your talent, and your treasures for your true calling. In the Inspired Stewardship Podcast, you will learn to invest in yourself, invest in others, and develop your influence so that you can impact the world. In today's episode about investing in yourself through stewarding your treasures, I talk with you about how you need to take responsibility for your money. I talk about 5 specific ways you can begin to take responsibility for your money, and I also share why this is really an empowering way to face your money concerns. As we talk about stewarding your treasures, wouldn't it be great if you could support this podcast and do it without costing yourself an extra dime? Turns out you can. All you have to do is use inspiredstewardship.com/Amazon when you're ready to make a purchase via Amazon, and a small commission will come back to support the show. If you enjoy the show when you're ready to buy from Amazon, just use inspiredstewardship.com/Amazon. Yeah, this week we're having that theme of taking responsibility for yourself. And today I want to talk specifically about taking responsibility for your money and taking on positive money responsibility. The truth is, you need to take responsibility for your money. No matter how old you are, no matter how young you are, the way we treat our money affects every component of our life. It affects our health, it affects our relationships, and it is affected by all of those components of life. This is why I talk so much about time and money. These two things and the way we handle them are very much related. More often than not, when somebody comes to me for help with one, we end up working on the other. And the truth is, it's through that lens of self-responsibility, because more often than not, the way we handle our time, the way we handle our money is really about how we handle ourselves. You've heard me say that before, and you'll hear me say it again, because that is a framework that is powerful. You can look at your money and you can again be reactive. I don't make enough. I'll never make enough. I'm in debt and there's no way I'll ever get out. Or you can look at it and you can be proactive and active. You can say, what is it that I can do differently to change this situation, to bring in more money, to get rid of some of the bills, to get rid of some of the debt? At the end of the day, there's really only 2 sides to the money equation, income and outgo. And that's the only 2 things that we can do anything about. So we have to take control of that and ownership of that. And some of these things that can help us take on personal money responsibility. And some of these you'll have heard yesterday and or the day before. But again, let's think about the framework here. The first is, again, acceptance. You can recognize the fact that you've probably made some money mistakes in your past, and probably some of those choices you've made in the past have led to where you are today. And you can accept that. You can acknowledge that. You can look honestly, what mistakes have I made? What have I done wrong in the past? As well as what have you done right in the past? Because the truth is, you've probably done some right things too, and you can learn from both. And then secondly, you can learn to forgive yourself for some of these things and forgive your spouse if you're married as well. Odds are good you've both screwed up or you've screwed up, but take that acceptance and learn to forgive yourself. Don't feel guilt. Don't feel shame, because that tends to cause us to ignore and put those things to one side. I know people that are so guilty about their bills that they just throw them in a drawer and don't look at them instead of dealing with them. And that doesn't make the situation better. It makes it worse. But if you forgive yourself and say, I've made some mistakes, I've gotten to this place and I've made choices that haven't been the best, but that's okay. I can make different choices moving forward from today to begin to make things different. If you give yourself that power, then you can take that power and you can make different choices. Third, begin to learn to stop trying to keep up with the Joneses, or as one of my friends put it, don't suffer from comparinitis, which is the disease of comparing yourself to everyone else. Looking at the person that's got the new car, going on the latest vacation, has the coolest tech, and thinking, I need to be just like them. As odds are good, they don't have everything as together as it appears that they do from the outside. And as part of that, you can begin to sit down, and fourth, you can make a plan for your finances. You can actually sit down and proactively, looking forward, figure out what are my goals? What are my values? What's important to me? And how do I begin to get there? What is it going to take to get where I want to go? What am I going to have to do different with my money? What am I going to have to take action on? And that brings us to the last one. You can begin to take action. You can actually do a spending plan or a budget. You can actually track against it and make sure that you live to it. You can actually open up and begin saving for retirement. You can begin taking positive action to move you forward. And of course, you can seek out accountability if that would help you as well. That's part of what I do as a money coach. As somebody who helps people around their time, their talent, and their treasures, as I help hold them accountable to it. The truth is, this is the most empowering way to change your life when it comes to your money. When you recognize that you've screwed up with money, the question I have for you is, what are you going to do different? If you're coming to the end of this year and you realize that you've had struggles with money, or if you're beginning the new year and you realize you've had struggles with money, or no matter where you are with your money, you can always take positive action to make a change. But the first step is to acknowledge that you need to make a change and then make that change so that you can move forward effectively. That is taking self-responsibility and applying it to your money to make a positive change. Thanks for listening. Thanks so much for listening to the Inspired Stewardship podcast. As a subscriber and listener, we challenge you to not just sit back and passively listen, but act on what you've heard and find a way to live your calling. If you like this episode on the stewardship of treasures, you can sign up for our treasures tips by going to inspiredstewardship.com/treasures or text in the US 44222 treasures tips. And we'll send you 5 weeks of our best tips on stewarding your treasures. Until next time, invest your time, your talent, and your treasures. Develop your influence and impact the world.